Welcome back to the Community Review on Hot 92.3. I'm Josefa Salinas, your host. On the phone with us, another amazing female author, Mary Pope Osborne. The series, The Magic Tree House. I'm sure you've seen them. You've read the books to your kids. Your children have probably read them. And on the phone with us is Mary talking about Passport to Adventure. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning. How are you?
I am fabulous. How's the Magic Tree House?
Oh, that Magic Tree House is in great shape. It's traveling all over the country right now.
Yeah, let's talk about that. The Magic Tree House live reading tour. What is this amazing, amazing Passport to Adventure?
Well, the main characters in Magic Tree House are Jack and Annie. So we have a Jack and Annie traveling around from bookstore to school around the whole U.S., doing a literacy and a promotional tour. And they sing some songs and get the kids to interact, and, they'll be signing books. And it's just a fun event that hopefully makes reading all the more inviting for kids of all ages.
Now, you actually get to write with your sister, Natalie.
Yes, I do. I've written both with my sister and my husband, Will Osborne. Natalie Pope Boyce does the Magic Tree House nonfiction books called the Magic Tree House Research Guides, and they're companions to all my fiction books. And Will has done a number of those also, and he does the music for the musical of Magic Tree House and wrote the lyrics for the songs that Jack and Annie will be doing on the tour. So we're sort of a family enterprise here.
Very nice. And you've sold millions of copies around the world. Why do you think Magic Tree House just works so well with children?
I think that it first of all, kids relate to the characters. They don't feel that they're any different than they are. They're ordinary kids who happen to have stumbled on an incredible situation where they can step into a treehouse that's filled with books and open a book and wish to go there. And with a combination of the book and the treehouse, they can go anywhere in the world. And they've traveled through time. I'm working on book 46 right now. And I think kids enjoy the adventure. It gives them a chance to have adventures in their own lives, if only in their imaginations.
Very, very nice. Now, when did you start writing?
Well, I started writing in my 30s, a long time ago, and then I started Magic Tree House about 20 years ago, and I've been working on that as well as other books ever since. But Magic Tree House is now just a way of life. I feel like if I didn't have one to write at any time, I'd have to just reinvent them all over again and do them for myself.
And where did you get the inspiration for Magic Tree House?
Well, I love to read, and I love history, and I love different cultures, and I love mythology, and I love folklore, and I take all of these passions and I sort of mix them together into a brew and come up with different subjects every time I set out to do a book. But a big feature also is talking to kids and teachers, and I've been taking votes in schools and bookstores around the country for all these 20 years, and I really feel like kids more than anyone have steered the whole series with the things they want to read about.
Very cool. What's the age target for your books?
I would say second and third grade. A lot of people start reading them to their children when the kids are just 4 and 5 to get them psyched about eventually reading themselves. And then I keep fans, I think, up through even up until 5th or 6th grade, because the kids know they can rely on these books and they can read chapter books, and it sort of is it's a nice break from some of the harder stuff they have to do when they're older.
Very, very nice. And where would you like to see yourself going? Is it Magic Tree Houses until the end of time, or
I think it's until the end of me.
Okay.
Whatever that should be.
Okay.
But as long as I tell kids, as long as I'm in my right mind and I can write with 2 hands, I will be writing them.
Now, where can we go to find out more about the Magic Tree House, all the things that you do, and all the events and fun things you have going on in the tree house?
You can always visit, and should anyway, visit magictreehouse.com, and you'll get tons of cool stuff on that site for kids, games and information about different times and places, and also a schedule of where we're going to be and when.
Very, very nice. Well, I'll make sure I put all this information up on my webpage at hot923.com. Keyword Josefa. It's the Passport to Adventure Magic Tree House Live Reading Tour. The books are called Magic Tree House. It's a series of books. What are there, like 43 or 45 titles?
I'm not sure how many are out. I think about 45.
Okay, 45.
There's some yet to come.
Yes, definitely. And they all have this incredible learning tool that goes with them that's kind of like the nonfiction information about the fiction.
Exactly.
It's so amazing. Well, Mary, thank you so much for stopping by. Mikasa is Sukasa. Our home is your home. Our airwaves are your airwaves. Whenever you write a Magic Treehouse book, you make sure you come back and see us.
Thanks, Josefa. That was fun.
Thanks for bringing the magic to our airwaves. Everybody knows I love books. There's nothing like a great book. And today we're talking with the author of The Shooting Salvationist, J. Frank Norris, and the murder trial that captivated America. They're saying it's probably one of the most famous stories you might never have heard of. On the phone with us, David R. Stokes, the author. Good morning.
Good morning, Josefa. Good to be with you.
Oh, it's great to have you here. You know, this was a riveting novel. I've gotten through about half of it, and it's really, really such an interesting story. And what I love about stories like this is it's based on truth, real fact. So I love it because I think it was Bob Schiffer, the CBS News correspondent, who wrote in the foreword to the book saying that if he hadn't actually lived in Fort Worth, Texas, he would think this was all made up.
But it actually happened, he said, and he can verify it.
Right. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about what it is that happened, the biggest story that everybody might never have heard of.
Well, this is a story from the 1920s, and so it's another time and another place, and it's a story, but let me put it in context. It's the pastor of the largest Protestant church in America. Before the word megachurch was in vogue, that's what it was. He was a radio broadcaster, a tabloid publisher, and a pastor of the largest church in America. He shot and killed an unarmed man in his office on a July day in 1926, 85 years ago this week. And if you can imagine, for instance, like a Rick Warren or a Billy Graham or somebody doing something like that for whatever reason, how big a story that would be. It would be like Casey Who, because it would move everything off the front page except it. And that's what it was back then. It's been lost to history. I'm sort of surprised no one else dug it up to write about it, and I've written about it in the book, and hopefully people find it compelling. And it's not just really based on a true story. It is a very true story.
So did we ever find out why he shot and killed an unarmed man in his office?
Well, the puzzling thing about human nature is you can never fully understand. He claimed self-defense, even though the other guy didn't have a gun. The old line from the Untouchables, bringing a knife to a gunfight. He didn't even have a knife. But J. Frank Norris was a volatile person. He was a minister. He was a cultural crusader who built his ministry and his following on conflict and crisis. And he was always battling something or someone, enemies real or imagined. He was into conspiracy theories. There was always a conspiracy against him. And in 1926, he was having a running feud with the mayor of Fort Worth, Texas, and it was a friend of the mayor who basically, it wasn't he wasn't above going on the radio and dishing any kind of dirt he could find on his enemies.
Yeah, and he was quite controversial in that he mixed politics and religion.
Yeah, I tell people that if you could build J. Frank Norris' personality, you'd take a little bit of Billy Sunday or Billy Graham, just a little, add a lot of P.T. Barnum, add William Randolph Hearst, and then put a touch of Al Capone there, and you'll figure out what made this guy tick, I think.
Jeez, and he was the head of a church?
Yeah, he was, and he was really the ancestor. And again, I want to be careful how I paint this. He was the ancestor to what became the religious right. It doesn't mean the religious right was all enamored of him or certainly replicated what he did completely. But he was someone who blurred the lines between religion and politics, not from an individual standpoint. We're all influenced, our politics individually, all influenced by our personal values, including religion, but in the corporate sense, from the pulpit kind of stuff, and he was really the pioneer of that.
So how do you think that has affected churches today, if he kind of was the beginning of that mega conglomerate?
Yeah, Now, churches today have an interesting thing because there have been great things that have been done. For instance, the civil rights movement, I mean, if you really study it, was a movement that began in churches, and it certainly propelled forward. Martin Luther King was a minister. And there have been a lot of positive, constructive things that have been accomplished by church people. So I don't think taking the religious aspect out of the national discourse is the right thing. The problem is when it becomes a quest for power, and I think that's the problem. You know, the church is supposed to be the underdog in a sense, and what happens is it's a toxic mix when politics and religion get together and sort of morph into an ambition for political power and control, and that's always bad when it takes place in human nature.
Yeah, because there's always, I remember in my house, there was always a big thing that, things you never discuss, religion and politics, and definitely not in the same breath.
Right,
but today, in this day and time, it seems like more and more religion and politics seems to be mixing.
Yeah, and I think you have to make a distinction between religion and politics and organized religion and organized politics. Again, I don't think it's realistic to suggest that a person's personal faith is not going to inform how he or she sees the world, and that includes politics. The line is crossed when there is this organized effort, whether it's grassroots or top-down, to mobilize as a monolith a particular church or a particular religious grouping of churches or denomination to back a particular partisan candidate or cause. And I think that's where we really get into trouble.
So do you think you're in the religious profession as well? Aren't you a pastor?
I am a pastor. I'm a pastor of a church, a congregation in Fairfax County, Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C.
So then you can definitely answer this question then from a position of authority on it. I definitely have my opinion, but I'd like to hear yours. Do you think it's right for churches to tell people that they should think a certain way, or that politically they should believe a certain way because this is what the church says is right?
No, I do not, and I don't practice that. I like to teach principles, and people make their own choices. In 2008, a portion of my church voted one way, a portion of my church voted the other way. Those issues are not what bring us together. What bring us together are issues of biblical concern. So I do not use the pulpit, nor do I think it's right to suggest that you need to vote this way. It's the only way. And I have my opinions on things, and people can ask me my private thoughts, what I think about something, but that's not a test of fellowship. By that I mean you can still be a member of my congregation if you don't agree with me politically.
Well, you certainly have the right spirit. Wish that spirit was spread around a little bit, because I certainly see something different in the papers. Jeez. It seems like more and more people are using churches for their own political gain, and I see that especially because it seems like everywhere you turn around, somebody's opening up a storefront and calling it a church.
Well, and of course, it just depends on what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, churches are about, here's my view, a church is about touching lives, helping people navigate the deep waters of modern living. It's about change lives. It's about helping people, becoming a family for people maybe that don't have family. It's helping people through their struggles and their addictions and their pain and their suffering and their loss. And certainly, one of the reasons we go through all this pain is that there are things that are wrong in this world. And certainly we can speak out on issues. We can take a stand on issues. But when it becomes an organized effort, you know what? We could change all the laws in this country to reflect what I want this country to be or what you want this country to be. But at the bottom line, it's still got to go back to the human heart and the choices that people make. And you can't legislate those things.
Very, very true. But there are people, I think, in this country who are so incredibly lost that it's very easy to shepherd them in the direction that you want to go, or there wouldn't be so many of these mega churches with people blindly following and drinking the Kool-Aid.
Well, and this goes back to why the story that I tell in the Shooting Salvationist J. Frank Norris and the murder trial that captivated America, because he had a following, and in a sense it was a cult of personality, and almost an end justifies the means. And a leader can get away with an awful lot if people follow him or her blindly and not analytically. This is what happens. And in the case of the 1920s, this is a case where a pastor was facing the electric chair in the state of Texas. And the pastor of the largest church in America, and it really captivated the nation. It's a story that's been lost to history, and hopefully we'll reacquaint people with it en masse. But if that is the danger, it was the danger back then, and it's still the danger. Why? Because human nature is human nature, and because there'll always be demagogues. And they'll be on the right or the left or in the middle. They'll be religious, they'll be political, they'll be media. It just, you just have to guard against that and guard your heart.
Well, that's one of the things that I loved about the book. The book is called The Shooting Salvationist, J. Frank Norris and the Murder Trial That Captivated America. Yes, it is definitely a look back at an incident that happened years ago. But what I loved about the book is how it stimulated conversation about modern-day churches, about faith, about people following blindly, and about the need for each of us, I think, to truly find some strength within ourselves and realize that we have the free will, we have the choice. Church is a great foundation to learn some basics, but ultimately it relies on each of us to make a choice about how to move forward.
Yeah, that liberty of conscience, and I think that's an important thing. Sam Rayburn, the late Speaker of the House, used to say, if two of us agree on everything, one of us is useless. And this idea that we've always got to walk in lockstep is not even an American idea. It's certainly a more of a totalitarian idea. It's very interesting how, and this is an observation, how those of us who scream the loudest about liberty and patriotism and freedom in the political context oftentimes are part of organizations that are quite authoritarian.
Very true.
And my design in writing the book was to tell a story, because I think it's a fantastic story, a fascinating one. But in a sense, I realized with these interviews and other things that I've done that it has stimulated conversation, and I think that can be a positive thing.
Oh, most definitely, especially in this day and time. David R. Stokes, author, minister, broadcaster, columnist. The book is called The Shooting Salvationist, J. Frank Norris and the Murder Trial That Captivated America. Yes, it's a look back at an incident that happened years ago, but thank you for writing a book that I think will stimulate people to talk about religion and politics and how that line has been blurred and it's mixing and how it's affecting our country today. Thank you so much, David. And make sure you come back and see us when you write another book.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the conversation.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Taking a look at the pulse of the community, there's a lot going on August 13th at the Galaxy Concert Theater in Santa Ana. The one and only Joey Bataan is going to be there. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Josefa.
How are you?
Oh, I'm fine. I'm blessed. I woke up this morning and I'm ready for the day.
I tell you what, that you have my exact philosophy. I tell people all the time, hey, I'm happy. They say, why? Is it because I woke up?
That's right.
We should be so happy for that. But,
take it for granted.
Oh, it's such an honor to have you on the show. Such a legend. Joey, tell me a little bit about what's going on at the Galaxy on that night.
Well, I'm going to be playing here, actually, at Central Park in New York on the 10th, but we're taking a plane right after that to get back to California to have our return engagement at the Galaxy. As you know, last year was such a great turnout. It was one of the hottest concerts that they ever had at the Galaxy Theater. We had a sold-out attendance, and we expect the same this time on August 13th in Santa Ana. And I'm hoping that all my friends come on down. I'm going to pray for everybody. Of course, I'll do the prayer and all your favorites from Mike Cloud to Ordinary Guy. You just request, and I'll do.
Oh, very, very good. So what else is going on in your life? Update me on Joey Bataan.
Well, I've been traveling. Blessings of the Lord. He has sent me around the world to be an ambassador to Latin soul music, and it's a type of magic universal language that's spreading all around the world. People are dancing all over. I mean, here is something that we created way back in 40 years ago, and then the youngsters are embracing it, thinking that it's all new. Actually, with the mixture of all the slow ballads and the boogaloo Latin soul style, it just has drawn me to the raza and to all the people around the world coming to cherish, my music now, and it's just been so enlightening to have people follow me.
Well, give me a website where people can go for more information about you,
Sure.
Joey.
All right, www.joebatan.com.
Okay, very good. JoeBatan.com. It is all happening at the Galaxy Concert Theater in Santa Ana on August 13th. The doors open at 6. The show starts a little while after that. I'll have all the information up on my webpage at hot923.com. Keyword Josefa. Joy Batan, welcome back to L.A., Southern California. We will see you when you get here on August 13th.
Well, we'll also have Voodoo Cafe.
Oh, that's right. Voodoo Cafe. Most definitely.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about Voodoo Cafe.
Well, it's a group from Texas, and they plan on giving a presentation that the Southern California hasn't seen in some time. So we look forward to being on the same bill with them, and we hope everybody comes out because a lot of celebrities have been invited.
Oh, very good. Well, I'm going to definitely try to be out there. Come on out. Let's just have a good time that night. Great music, Voodoo Cafe, and Joy Batan right here in Southern California, Galaxy Theater on August 13th. Joy, we'll see you then.
Thank you so much. God bless.
God bless you, too. That's going to do it for us today. Make sure you check out the Job Corner. There's lots of new information up there. There's classes, there's job fairs, there's job listings. I'm Josefa Salinas. Until we get together again, stay strong, stay focused, and most of all, stay informed. I'll see you next Sunday on the Community Review, Hot 92.3. Have a fabulous, terrific, wonderful day. And come on out and join me at the Sunday Gospel Brunch at the House of Blues on Sunset. I'll be there from 10 to 1 today. Come on out and have some fun.